So Colombia just defeated, or just yesterday defeated Mexico 4-0 in an international friendly. Um, I'm elated with the result, with the scoreline, but this game does, it does show certain deficiencies that the Colombian national team, still faces. But before we get into that, let's just talk about the lineups. So I was surprised to see quite a few changes to the starting 11. Firstly, Camilo Vargas, obviously, because of an injury, is not going to be in the national team, so he put Ospina. I thought we were either going to see Montero or Mir. We see Ospina get the start. Dita gets a start over Davinson Sanchez, which surprised me considering Davinson Sanchez is our best, defender, but he wanted to try out Dita. Munoz, Lucumí starters. Angulo got another start over Mojica. Midfield wise, we had Castaño, Lerma, so Rios got the bench. Diaz, James starting. Cernak surprisingly got the start on right wing. And then we had Luis Suarez once again starting at striker. Now, I have to say, with the exception of Kevin Serna, who I understand was playing on the right side, he's a left winger, but he's playing as a right winger. With the exception of Serna, I think there's no player that I thought had a disappointing night for Colombia, honestly. Defensively, Colombia was barely tested. We could look at the stats here. And it's funny that even though Mexico had more shots than Colombia, 10-7, Colombia had more shots on target, and those shots on target were all for goals. And the shots on target Mexico had were very simple saves, honestly, for Ospina. Mexico had more possession than Colombia, but they couldn't do anything with the possession. Like I said before, they didn't create any clear chances against Colombia. And I honestly think the Mexicans couldn't handle the physicality of the Colombian national team, honestly. I'm happy that, Angulo actually had a good performance against Mexico. I liked it a lot. I would want to see him against a more dangerous team because, with all due respect to Mexico, didn't do anything to test them defensively. But I did like Angulo's game. Lucumí, Dita were great. Lucumí had a bit of imprecision at times when they were marking Lerma, and so he didn't have no one to pass to. But for the most part, Lucumí and Dita held their own. They didn't really concede any chances. Munoz, same thing. Pretty much what we said for Munoz, to run back and forth. Midfield wise, Castaño, Lerma. Lerma had a great goal for the third goal. And Castaño, solid. Almost conceded a penalty, but I didn't think it was a foul. Diaz had a goal, a beautiful goal with an assist from James. And yeah, so let's just talk about this furthermore. The goals that Colombia scored, so 2 of the 4 goals Colombia scored were from set pieces, and that just shows you that Colombia is one of the most dangerous teams in terms of set pieces. The first one was a free kick, James with the assist, Lucumí with a beautiful goal. For some reason, the goalkeeper from Mexico refused to leave his box, or refused to try to stop Lucumí from scoring. You let him kick it. But for the most part, Colombia didn't really do much offensively. I think Colombia were controlling the game against Mexico despite not having the ball. And they were winning the game. And honestly, the first half against Mexico, it felt like Colombia, without doing much, was still controlling the game. They were winning the game. And it wasn't really until the second half where Colombia, I felt like, really started to really kick it up a notch. That's when Mexico started to attack a bit more, left more spaces behind them. James, beautiful pass to Diaz. Diaz 1-on-1 and chips it over the keeper. The third goal, another free kick. James doesn't get directly the assist, but Lerma off of a header from a defender or a deflection, scores a belter of a goal. And then for the fourth goal, Quintero once again pretty much replacing James and doing a similar pass. Pretty much the Quintero assist to Carbonero was similar to the James assist to Diaz. Carbonero with a beautiful goal and puts it away 4-0. He just outruns Montes. I like that we saw Carbonero come on, play for that left side that Diaz occupied, and have a good game, scored a goal. And that's important because then that makes Colombia with another alternative to Diaz in case he's not there. Quintero, third game in a row, coming off the bench, getting minutes as a number 10, and once again, third game in a row with an assist. Juan Portilla came on. As we expected, Santos Bordet was going to come on because he called him up for a reason, but Santos Bordet really didn't do anything. Emerson Campas came on the pitch again. I don't understand what Lorenzo sees in Campas. I feel like Yasser Asprilla should be the player there that should be getting the playing time over Campas, honestly. Cucho left on the bench in favor of Bordet. Hopefully these players that I'm mentioning, like Asprilla and Cucho, can, play against Canada at least. Because it wouldn't make sense why else he would call them up if he's not going to play them. But all in all, the 4-0 game just shows you just how far Mexico is from Colombia. Honestly, I don't know who could have predicted Mexico to beat Colombia unless you were Mexican and you don't want to admit it, that right now Mexico is inferior to Colombia. Colombia is a better national team. I mean, for instance, Colombia's beaten Argentina officially. When was the last time Mexico beat Argentina officially, right? Got to a Copa America final, the same Copa America that Mexico got grouped. So, it's frightful that the level Mexico has right now prior to the World Cup is really concerning, honestly. This game reminded me a lot of the game between Colombia and Bolivia, in which the first half was very equal. Equal in terms of the fact that Colombia wasn't doing much, but they were still winning the game. They had a 1-0 lead, and for the most part, were controlling the game. Like Mexico. First half against Mexico, 1-0 goal for Colombia, and they were controlling the game without doing much. The difference is that Bolivia, at least in the second half, gave Colombia a fright. They almost tied the game, and they were actually starting to win the midfield battles a bit against Colombia. Although Colombia eventually just scored back-to-back goals. Mexico never even threatened Colombia. So, honestly, I feel like Bolivia actually showed and gave Colombia a better fight in Barranquilla than Mexico did in Texas. That's very concerning if you're Mexican, honestly. And again, this result just 15 years now that Mexico hasn't beaten Colombia in a friendly. I mean, if you look at this, just the record, just look at it. The last time Mexico beat Colombia was 2010. And you look at Colombia beat Mexico in a Gold Cup. So Colombia went to Mexico's tournament in the Gold Cup and knocked them out in 2005 quarterfinals. Colombia and Mexico faced off in a final, and Colombia beat them. Copa America final. They beat us in 97 Copa America, but then Colombia beat them in 93 Copa America. So Colombia officially has a winning record against Mexico in 2 knockout games, Copa America final and Gold Cup quarterfinals. Colombia's won, so Colombia owns Mexico officially. They haven't beaten Colombia since 2010, and it's just honestly, Colombia is on a level beyond Mexico right now, and I think it's good that this game happened in the sense that it gives Colombia more confidence. But at the same time, I want to see Colombia face off with a team that's probably going to test them more offensively. I wouldn't be mad against an Australia friendly, for instance. a team that sits back and defends very well, like Ecuador. And I feel like Colombia needs to learn to, you know, it, what I noticed between Bolivia and Mexico is that the game really didn't open up until Colombia got the first goal. So what happens if you face a tough defense that's not going to give you an easy first goal? What happens then? What's Colombia going to do then against a tough defense? I feel like I want to see Colombia beat a tough defense prior to the World Cup. So I think Australia would be a great matchup for Colombia. Um, and again, I also feel as though another worry I have is that Lerma doesn't really have an appropriate midfield partner. Like, in case Lerma is important to the national team because he is usually the first guy to receive the pass from the back line. So he initiates a lot of Colombia's attacks. But when you mark Lerma, a lot of teams are starting to mark Lerma, so they don't pass him the ball to initiate attacks. But then who else is going to get open in the midfield to get the the ball moving? That's something Lorenzo has yet to fix. Yeah. So just those couple of things worry me still. But again, Colombia is still demonstrating that, in my opinion, they're still a top 3 team in the Americas. Arguably the best set piece team in the world. And when you have players like Diaz, who's right now playing at a world class level, 13 games, 7 goals, 6 assists. James, that whenever he plays for Colombia, is getting a goal moment. He got 30 goals, 40 assists now, already tied at Bive all assists all time for the national team. Munoz, top 5 right backs in the world. And you have a solid defense like this. Colombia is showing, and they're slowly getting back to that form they were in prior and during the Copa America when they were on that unbeaten run to the final. Colombia is getting back to that form. I just want to see them face a bit more tougher defenses. That's gonna have to make them do more to get a goal. I think that's what Colombia wants. And just to end it on this, just for the Mexicans, Colombia es tu papá. So, de todo un poquito de todo. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel, share if you find the content interesting, give a comment if you agree, or say what you don't agree with. As always, have a nice day, guys. Thanks for watching.